Hello. Today I'll be covering some of ADM's regulations pertaining to large quantity generators of hazardous waste. So you've determined you're a large quantity generator of hazardous waste. What's next? I will now go over some of the large quantity generator regulations that will apply to your facility. For a complete list of the regulations that apply to large quantity generators, please refer to ADM Administrative Code 335-14. The Large Quantity Generator Operating Record. Large quantity generators must maintain and provide an operating record consisting of some of the following documents, as well as others that might not be listed for inspection upon request. Some of the documents include ADM Form 8700-12, Notification of Regulated Waste Activity, the Facility's Biennial Report, Hazardous Waste Manifest for the last 3 years, Hazardous Waste Employee Training Records, which should include a job title and description, the amount of training required to hold that job, the name of the individual that holds that job, the amount of training that person has received in order to make them qualified to hold that job, and any annual hazardous waste training records for that employee. The facility's contingency plan, making sure that the emergency coordinator and all alternates are up to date. If the facility needs to submit a quick reference guide, and documentation of attempts made to send the contingency plan to any agency that might respond to an emergency at the facility. Central Accumulation Area Weekly Inspections. These must include the date of the inspection, the time of the inspection, who performed the inspection, and any deficiencies found during the inspection, and any actions done to correct these deficiencies. And if your facility stores hazardous waste in tanks, the leak detection and repair, or LDR data, weekly tank inspections, which include the same information as the central accumulation area inspections mentioned above, and any engineer certifications for these tanks. Documentation contained in any facility's operating records is determined on a case-by-case basis. This list does not reflect a complete list, so please refer to ADM Administrative Code 335-14 to determine what documents must be included in your facility's operating record. Large quantity generator satellite accumulation. Large quantity generators may accumulate less than or equal to 55 gallons of non-acute hazardous waste and or less than or equal to 1 quart of liquid acute hazardous waste or less than or equal to 1 kilogram of solid acute hazardous waste at or near the point of generation and under the control of an operator. The container holding the hazardous waste must be in good condition, compatible with the waste being stored, closed except when adding, removing, or consolidating waste from the container, and marked with the words hazardous waste and an indication of the hazard of the contents of the container. Waste codes may not be used as an indication of the hazard on satellite accumulation containers. This slide illustrates both the correct and incorrect way for containers to be stored while in satellite accumulation. On the left side of the slide, you will see proper satellite accumulation drum closure. All openings on the container must be closed, the lids affixed and tightened, and the container integrity must not be compromised by corrosion or structural damage. On the right side of the slide, you will see improper satellite accumulation drum closure. Satellite accumulation containers must be labeled with the words hazardous waste and an indication of the hazard of the contents of the container. Waste codes DFP or K are not recognized as an acceptable means of indicating the hazard of the contents on a satellite accumulation container. Acceptable indication labeling includes the hazard placards represented here on the left side of this slide, or the words flammable, corrosive, reactive, or toxic. On the right side of the slide, you'll find proper versus improper satellite accumulation labels. The large quantity generator central accumulation or less than 90-day area. Once a satellite accumulation container reaches capacity or the 55-gallon threshold, the container must be dated and moved to a central accumulation area within 72 hours where their hazardous waste may be stored for less than 90 days. Containers in the central accumulation area must be in good condition, compatible with the waste being stored, closed except when adding or removing waste from the container, not managed in a manner that may cause them to leak, not stacked more than 2 high for containers greater than or equal to 55 gallons, and have a completed hazardous waste label with all applicable hazardous waste codes and an accumulation start date. The large quantity generator central accumulation or less than 90-day area requirements continued. Some of the most common central accumulation area requirements are: the facility must comply, when applicable, with 40 CFR Part 265, subparts AA, BB, and CC, have a containment system designed and operated in accordance with the regulation listed above, is free of cracks or gaps, sufficiently impervious to contain leaks, spills, accumulated precipitation, and remove such spills within 24 hours of detection. On the left side of this slide, you will find examples of proper secondary containment in the central accumulation area. And on the right side, you will find examples of improper secondary containment located within the central accumulation area. This is an example of the hazardous waste label that must be present on a container when it is moved into the central accumulation area. All areas of this label must be filled out and complete. More large quantity generators, central accumulation or less than 90-day area requirements. Central accumulation areas must be inspected weekly, have appropriate warning signs and security, and incompatible waste must be separated with dikes, berms, walls, or other devices. As a rule of thumb, separate acids and bases and keep flammables away from ignition sources and waste in other hazard classes. Thank you for listening to this large quantity generator presentation. Fact sheets and other information regarding hazardous waste topics, including the ones discussed here today, may be found by following the links on this slide, or you may contact the Industrial Hazardous Waste Branch via telephone at 334-270-5637. Thank you and have a good day.